Final guest tonight is a Brit award-winning singer, songwriter and actress whose retro glamour and unmistakable vocals have been wowing audiences for over 15 years and whose critically acclaimed first book, MILF, spent 10 weeks on the Sunday Times bestseller list last year. Her recently launched podcast is called Mad, Sad and Bad, and we are glad to welcome her to The Late Late Show tonight. Would you give it up for the brilliant Paloma Faith? Welcome back to Dublin. Last seen playing the Ivy Gardens on your birthday last year. How was that?
Oh my goodness, it was so amazing because I was trying to keep it low-key and hadn't told anyone it was my birthday, and the whole audience knew, and they just kept singing happy birthday in between every song. So they wouldn't let me live. I was trying to keep it low-key, and everyone's going, happy birthday. And it was just like, I'm in Ireland where they know how to celebrate life.
I mean, generally, nothing is low-key here in Ireland, let's be clear. We all know you as a brilliant singer, songwriter. You are now podcasting. Tell us a little bit about Mad, Sad and Bad.
Well, it's probably like the most natural thing I've ever done because I've got a tendency to just, everywhere I go, I talk to people, and I've sort of got a reputation for finding out everything about people's lives. Like, I will come home from the shop and I'll be like, oh, there's this lady called Janice who was on the tills and she's got some issues with her 15-year-old son that's blah, blah. Like, I know everything immediately. And I don't know why, but people tend to open up to me.
They tell you stuff.
They tell me stuff. And we were like, oh, can we do a podcast? Because that's what happens. And even so I've had loads of great guests so far. I've had Mel B, Aisling B from Ireland, and I've had James O'Brien and a whole kind of mix of people, Rupert Everett, Alan Carr, great people. But even James O'Brien, who's an interviewer, was like, I've never told anybody any of this stuff. I don't know how you've done that. It's like witchy magic. Shall I ask you some questions?
I mean, we could swap at any time. I love the fact that Alan Carr even showed up after the meal that you cooked for him.
I know.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
He won't let me live it down either because, well, years ago, it was we were all kind of in earlier stages of our careers, and Alan invited me and Adele round to his house, and I was like, I'll do the cooking, no worries. And I went to a quite popular supermarket thinking that it'd be safe, and ended up giving them all, including Adele's dog, who had a bit of the food poisoning, and we knew that it was happening because the dog shat itself on the carpet. And then we knew hours later it was our turn. And yes, everyone was shitting. Pissing out their bums.
Hello! OK.
So it's awful, but Alan did come round and he just kept going, make sure she doesn't give me anything to eat!
That is so good. That's really good. We've got to talk about this as well. This is your bestseller, 10 weeks on the Sunday Times bestseller last year.
Yeah.
MILF. I thought I knew what MILF stood for, but for you it stands for something else.
Well, it's out in paperback now as well, just to show you. That looks really heavy and intimidating, but you can get it in paperback with an extra chapter in it, which is about women's power. Fear not. And it stands for motherhood, identity, love and fuckery in this instance. And when I was going on all the daytime TV shows in England, I kept being told, you can't say the title of the book on the show. Obviously in Ireland we can, but... but I didn't realise why until I put the word into Google Images. And then I realised why I couldn't say the title of the book, because it seems to be quite a popular porn search.
OK.
And I didn't realise that. I sort of was just being playful with you know, modern language.
Yes.
And I was like, no, delete.
Look, you know, you have said that this is the book that you would have loved someone else to write for you earlier in your life. Why was that?
Well, I just felt that when I became a mother, I'd spent my whole life really wanting to be a parent, and I love my kids so much. But I felt like all the kind of the literature available to me was about how to make the children happy, and there was nothing about what to do for the mother, or like as a woman, your own identity, and protecting yourself from like the extreme change and the kind of invisible load that comes with it. And I felt there was no preparation, so I decided that I wanted to write a really candid account of that. And at first I was quite worried, because people often, if you say anything even remotely negative, people assume that you don't love parenthood, which I do. But actually the response was incredible. So many people have approached me in the street, women crying, saying thank you, and actually quite a few men. I had a guy come up to me in tears and said, "Can I hug you? You saved my marriage." Because my wife read it and then she asked me to read it, and we were on the rocks, and after I'd read it, I felt like I really understood what was happening, and I have changed into this much better husband or whatever. And so he was like, yeah, it saved us, so thank you. Which was nice. Which was lovely.
There's lots of... Yeah. You mentioned that term, co-parenting. I know you're not a fan of that. Why is that?
Because no one co-parents. Like, it's just a word that they use for a man who does a little bit to raise his children. And it's never 50-50, and it just isn't. And the sooner we accept that, the better. Like, and I think it's like up to us all, including fathers, to acknowledge the fact they don't do as much as us. And as soon as we're acknowledged, we feel better. Like, it's bullshit. Like, I've obviously battled to have a career, and one of the reasons why I've got Mad, Sad and Bad podcast is because I've got 2 kids who are quite young, and it's a way for me to do it at home and still pick them up from school. Because I was like, what am I going to do? I can't work like this anymore. So I'll just make a podcast in my house, which is why it's quite fun, because everyone comes to me. And then I'm always straight hard out at 3, so I can be at the school gates by 3:30. And I just love it, because I'm just talking to people and finding out all the juicy gossip.
There's a chapter in this that I wasn't overly glad to read. It is, are men redundant?
It's a question, not a statement.
OK, good. Where have we got to on that? Go easy on us.
Well, I actually don't think that men are redundant, but I think that what they need to... I mean, I really like men. I'm not here to, man bash. I just feel like there are certain things that I talk about in the book and in my life that's certain things like initiative that is lacking quite often. Like, if you see the woman in your household do the same act every day, day after day, it means that that act needs to be done, and you shouldn't be asked to do it, because that's exhausting in itself. Delegating what everyone does, you might as well just get on with it yourself, and then you get irritated. I'm doing everything, we say. And it's like, yeah, we are doing everything. So if you just see her do that thing every day, like make the kids pack lunch, just wake up half an hour earlier, make the kids pack lunch. And she will be so grateful, unfortunately, because I don't think she should be, because you should be doing it. But she will be so grateful just because it's so shocking to her that you've done it. And you get praise for stuff that we do, willy-nilly, without even thinking. I literally have 5 careers, and I'm ordering the school uniform, I'm doing the school lunches, I'm thinking of everything, planning the Easter holidays, activities. Have you ever done that?
I actually have.
Really? What was it?
Well, you know, they normally come over, they're 6 and 8, so I normally bring them over to Dundrum for a few pints.
No good.
No good. There's a thing that you've done recently, which is you have...
What have I done?
Well, I thought this was great. You've decided not to give your daughters smartphones, and you've put in an old-fashioned landline in the house. How's that been working out?
Well, it's fun for me because I like novelty items, so I bought a phone in the shape of a hamburger, which just in itself makes me happy every time I look at it. But my 8-year-old, she's only 8, and like still already they're obsessed by the phone and stuff. And then obviously everyone's talking about the TV show Adolescence, and loads of my friends who've got kids a little bit older than mine are talking about how they've sort of feel they've lost their teenagers because they're constantly looking at smartphones and stuff. So I was like, okay, well, if you're that obsessed by the phone, you can have a landline and you can call whoever you want. And I just put the numbers of anyone she might want to ring, like her friends, mums and dad's numbers, and her dad's and mine and my mum and everything. And then she just keeps like kind of ringing people, and then she prank calls them, but they all have the number stored so they know it's her. She's like...
This is so good. I mean, everybody should be taking notes here. Everybody should be taking notes. When are we going to see you back in Ireland singing? Can we hope for that sometime soon?
I'd love to. I'm writing a new album now, be my 7th album. So once that's finished and released, probably next year, hopefully. Got to make sure there's enough inspiration. But there is now, because obviously I was a single mum, so now I'm like having the early flounderings of romance again, which is quite inspiring for songs.
So that's when we're going to be coming out?
So I will come back to tour that.
OK, amazing. Look, thank you so much. Paloma Faith!